Welcome, beautiful friends. It's Tuesday night, honey.
It is Tuesday
Gosh, it
night
feels like a
once
long
again.
time since we've done this.
I know.
A lot has happened in the interim, hasn't
I guess. I
it?
can't really remember.
We can't remember what it is. Well, hello, friends. Nice to be with you again tonight. I'm assuming in your own way you've come into communion. If not, please do. Let's begin in a union that's already here, not one that we realize later on, but one that always has been, is now, and for shall ever be. And we're going to experience ourselves as a channel for the loving neutrality of God. You don't have to do anything here except experience your experience. I ask each of you to bless me and Cindy with the love of God that is within you. Not sending good thoughts or good intentions, just allowing the love of God to flow through you like light emanating from an inner sun. And with great joy, Cindy and I open to receive those blessings. Now, without any effort and without any thought, extend those blessings, the loving neutrality of God flowing effortlessly through you to bless each one in our Beyond Belief into Presence group. So simultaneously allow that flow to flow through you and yet be received within you. Knowing that everyone in this group is choosing to be a channel of blessing to you. And allow yourself to both fully give, being the channel and letting that light flow, and fully opening to receive those blessings. How deeply are you willing to feel that flow? We don't have to say super secret mantras to get it right. We don't even have to have good intentions for another. We simply open and allow the loving neutrality of God to flow through us, blessing all those in our group. And receiving those blessings. Now let's expand it another step and effortlessly allow the loving neutrality of God's love to flow through us as a freely given gift to every being on planet Earth. Those we know and love, and those we'll never meet. And within the sanctity of your own heart, you can merely ask, fellow sojourners on planet Earth, if you are willing, I ask for your blessing now. And effortlessly open to receive. And one last joyful step. I welcome and allow the loving neutrality of God to flow through me and bless the whole of creation. And now open and allow yourself to receive the blessings of all those who might choose to extend them to you. So simple, so effortless. That loving neutrality that flows through us already knows what's highest and best for another being. We don't have to know what that is. We need not pray for specific things for others because, frankly, we don't have a fucking clue what they need. But we can joyfully allow the unconditional, loving neutrality of God to flow through us. Simply for the joy of how it feels as it flows through us. A simple gift we give ourselves while we bless all others. Wow. So simple. I don't need to know. I don't need to know how. I don't need to know why. I can give up all ideas of doing it right or getting it wrong. I can simply rest in presence, allowing, inviting the loving neutrality of God to flow through me, to bless all beings. How great a gift is that to give yourself? When you find yourself in need, would you be willing to simply rest in presence and ask any being in creation who is willing, I open to receive the love of God through you? Let yourself realize how grand a blessing it is to be asked to be that channel, or to ask another to be that channel on your behalf. Everyone is uplifted. No one is diminished. Simply entering a feeling communion and inviting the source of all that is to flow through you to bless all that is in creation. So simple, so effortless, such a great gift to give yourself. We don't have to know the Lord's Prayer inside and out and all its mystical and esoteric meanings. We don't have to be able to chant the Aramaic Lord's Prayer and the simplest willingness and communion in presence and an effortless choice is all that it takes. Can you feel it? And recognize that that presence, that flow, is not flowing through your body, although you may feel it there. It's flowing through the vast field of spacious presence itself. Simply choosing to be a channel of blessings. What a simple and joyful opportunity. Thank you for your blessings, my friends. What a lovely way to start, honey.
It is.
Now, where are you going to take us?
Well, I had a comment to make on that experience. We are probably somewhat familiar with the extension of blessings to others. If you're this far along in your journey, I'm sure you've touched this somewhere along the way. So you go into a public place, a grocery store, wherever, and your intention is to be that open channel through which loving neutrality flows. But I would remind you to consider what that experience is when you choose to be the recipient of others' extension of loving neutrality. It is said that we don't know what we have to give until we give it. And when you ask for the blessing, you ask for others to give to you. You receive their gift, but you give it too. Because that being then has the opportunity to experience themselves as the giver, perhaps in a new or deeper way than they have experienced it before. So if it crosses your mind next time you're out someplace in the public and you rest into the intention to receive the blessing of all that you may meet, it's a great gift to give. So thank you.
Cool. Giving and receiving are one, and man, it's really simple. And did you notice it was no harder to bless the whole of creation than when you bless Cindy and I? You didn't have to pedal faster. You didn't have to bear down harder. You didn't have to become grand or something. It was just a simple choice. Why not include all of creation in your prayer? Why play the game of singling out those that you think need it more than others? How do we know? Or singling out those that are your loved ones. Let all beings receive. The greater is the blessing to you. We didn't pray for them to awaken. We didn't pray for them to be happy or healed. We had no intention save to be the channel of that loving neutrality. Those beings will make their own choices with those blessings. That loving neutrality will move forward and express through those beings in just the perfect ways for them. Simple. How many of you have felt really awkward when someone asked you to pray for them? Or they ask you for something and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Oh gosh, what do I do? What do I say? It's no harder than this. No harder than what we just did. And that's what makes it so joyful. You can do it all the time. So just a little practice if you guys wanted to play with it some this week. Simply do this first thing in the morning and desire to be like a sun walking around in your normal day, simply emanating the loving neutrality of God, blessing all things. No need to choose between this or that, blessing the dog shit on the sidewalk just as readily as the little girl in a Facebook video who's having surgery. How great might be the blessing to you to allow that to flow through you simply and effortlessly. Play with it and see what you experience. But you recognize in the choice to give, you are receiving. You are initiating the movement in you, as presence, and through you to all other aspects of presence. Wow. That's kind of sexy, honey.
I would drop another pebble in your pond.
Kerplunk.
So Mark and I were driving along. Maybe it was yesterday, and his phone was tuned in, linked somehow with the radio, and randomly, music's playing, and randomly comes a recording that I made some time back of from the Course of Love. I recorded the 40 days of the dialogues, and day 22 came up. Day 22 speaks to channeling, and it mentions how we are accustomed mostly to thinking of a channel as an intermediary, someone who has a connection to something that we don't know. We may see them as having attained a level of consciousness we don't perceive in ourselves, or that they may have a psychic skill that we don't feel we have
and could never
have. They can perhaps communicate with, quote, the other side, and we haven't had that experience. And so we seek out this intermediary to help us have an experience that we desire to have. And the Course of Love tells us that we don't need an intermediary, that it is not a flow of knowing or experience that comes from something that is not known through a filter to us, but that it is a direct understanding because we are in union with God, and therefore all is available to us to know. And that we are channeling all the time.
Can't stop.
So as we spoke about extending God's loving neutrality, for a moment, or sometime in the next few days, if it comes to you, consider that you're channeling all of God. Every creative expression of God is available to flow through you. And in your daily life, as you experience it, you are in fact the extension of God, God knowing itself through your experience. And that is our relationship to God, based in our union with God. So as that pebble sinks in the next few days, you might take a look at the living of your life from a new perspective. To see all of it as God's expression through you.
And again, that you being the field of spacious presence, not just your physical form. One of the simplest, subtlest choices that escapes us often. Will I channel my ego today, or will I channel the love of God? The way of mastery early in the way of mastery, yes, was very clear. We're all channels. We were all created to extend the Creator. We each pick freely what we choose to channel. Some of us, I chose to channel abandonment for decades. Some of us have chosen to channel unworthiness. Some of us have chosen to channel judgment. Some of us have, we've all chosen a fairly healthy dose of channeling spiritual seeking. But what if it's really so much simpler than we want to make it out to be? What you claim for yourself is the gift you give everybody else. What you claim for yourself is the gift you give everyone else. So would you choose to let the whole of God itself flow through you? And this is very simply what Yeshua did. He claimed the full measure of God, knowing that as he claimed it for himself, he gifted it to every other aspect of creation. That's why he said, because it is done in me, it is done for you already, but we must accept that by giving as he gave, claiming it for ourselves and knowing that to be the truth of all other beings. Now, this will give your ego, judgment, comparison bus a totally flat tire, because that just doesn't live in this vibration. In the Course in Miracles, Yeshua says, in order to have all, give all to all. Just like God. In God's extension to us, God has given us all power over heaven and earth. What gift do you give? What gift do you channel by what you claim for yourself each day? You'll never experience what you don't claim, and you always experience what you do. You will never experience what you don't claim, and you always experience what you do. As within, so without. What we claim for ourselves, we project that that's the truth for everybody else. As spacious presence, the infinite field of pure potential, pure being, God itself, what would we choose to give? And what if that's actually all it is a choice? I mean, do you really think 10 more years of spiritual seeking, then you'll be able, God will say, yes, you're ready, now you can make that choice? Or will you realize, shit, I could have made that choice every day of this life, but I valued other choices first. I valued, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm efforting to wake up, I'm trying to get better. We all chose to channel something else other than the full measure of God. Yes, it was really beautiful in the Way of Master. He talks about the day where he decided to no longer seek God, but to walk the world as God. And what we just did together was the simple way he started, offering the loving neutrality of blessing to all beings, knowing that within that loving neutrality was the very power and essence of God itself. So simple. Wow. What if the only thing required to channel the full measure of God is a choice? And just recognize, if that's not your choice, you are choosing for something significantly less. Is it time to take up your purpose and extend creation by being as your creator, giving all to all? This can be befuddly confounding because it's so simple. The mind needs a really complex strategy. I need to invoke the cosmic council of the Great White Brotherhood and invoke the name of 75 masters in my personal lineage. Or I can just bag all those crazy prerequisites and take up my rightful place and extend the love of God. And to fully receive it. So just right now, in the room that you're in, just look around your room and let yourself notice that everything in that room is giving itself to you fully. It's perfectly content for you to be grateful or to not even notice. Every item in that room is an aspect of God. God is in everything I see. Just for a moment, open to receive God through everything in that room. Through the carpet, through the trash in the trash can, through the air that you can't even see. Everything in that room is giving itself to you completely. It's not hiding anything. It's not asking or demanding anything of you. What if it were this simple to also be in reception of God flowing through all things? Do you know the silent question that Yeshua asked every being that he made eye contact with? Will you bless me with the love of God? He invited them to be what they were created to be. And in doing so, he invited them to join him as an equal, taking up our rightful place to extend the love of God. Wow. Hmm. So, up until now, we've abided in presence in a somewhat passive way. We have engaged it in communion and communication, but that's been primarily about our body, minds, wants, and needs or questions. But tonight, we join it in its full measure and its full power and its full glory, and simply allow it to be as it is and flow through us. No longer restricting that flow. No longer picking and choosing who's worthy of it and who's not. I could never bless Trump. Or I could never bless ISIS. Why not? God sure is. Are you ready to take up your place and be as God? And let go of all your crazy mind's ideas of what that would look like, what that would mean, what that would obligate you to, blah, 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 and just live in this flow, giving and receiving unconditional, loving neutrality of God's love, and see what happens. So, just for contrast, because contrast can be really important to help us choose, can it? So, right now, without any effort, channel the full measure of egoic consciousness through you. Channel all egoic judgment, all fear, all hatred. Can you feel the difference? Can you see that it's just a choice? And even though we've taken a moment here to channel ego. We've not been struck down. The power to choose again has not been removed. In the next breath, we can, I see that's not what I would choose. I choose to extend the loving neutrality of God through me as presence and my body mind to all beings, freely giving of that unconditional loving neutrality. This doesn't require us to give up our jobs that our ego says is not spiritual. Doesn't require us to master a meditation technique first. It's not limited by any of the time-bound fears that our body mind would say, oh, but I'm not ready. I don't know how to do that. So play with it this week. Discover what that you can freely channel any vibration. I mean, you can actually, this is fun. Yeshua and I used to do this. We'd go out in public and I would channel rage and I would watch the scene around me begin to go into resonance around that vibration. Bickering would start, conflict would start, traffic agitations. And then we would change to the loving neutrality of God's love and things would flow. Could restaurant volumes would go up and then down. As within, so without. Beginning to realize that beyond the concept, beyond the idea, by resting in a feeling communion and consciously choosing the vibration that you claim for yourself and radiate to all other beings. Cool, huh? So what are we channeling? Our egos? The collective consciousness of fear of World War III coming, calamity, politics, disturbance? What are you choosing to channel each day? There was a beautiful question and answer in the Way of Mastery one time. This lady said, but Yeshua, what do? I have all these things that are wrong with me, all these things I need to fix. And Yeshua asked that woman to pick out one person and simply love them. To take up her purpose and to get about it. And if you're willing to do this, you'll discover you've got a lot less shit to take care of. You've got a lot less stuff because as you choose, he says, the fruit that you eat of or the fruit that you plant, you grow more of. Have you ever noticed when we're really focused on our ego, it's like there's nothing but more ego. What am I choosing to channel? What am I claiming for myself and gifting all other beings? The choice is always ours. Yeshua was just courageous enough, ballsy enough to say, I think I'm going to be like God. I'm going to claim the full measure of it for myself, and I'm going to give it to everybody I can. In every way that love inspires me to do so. I'm not sure about you guys, but I think he changed creation quite a bit in that. course, he was labeled a blasphemer. How dare he claim what he was created to be? How dare he claim equality with God? How dare he forgive and bless in the Creator's name? You know, we're all going to have to make the same choice he did. He's already chosen it for himself and gifted us that possibility, but we claim it and live ourselves into it. It's the only way we can come to know. What will I channel this day? Will I give beings the freedom to have what they would have? Or do I wish to give them what I think they should have? That's why we offer the loving neutrality. It's not, you're giving them total free will, total sovereign authority, and total power to choose as they will. Just like God has given it already to all of us. But we make it real by realizing that within ourselves. So sometimes we get so focused looking at everything that's wrong, everything we think that's wrong, and the more we do that, the more we find. Cindy used a beautiful analogy one time with a friend of ours. She said, it's like you're digging a well deeper, certain that you'll get out by digging deeper. So play, explore, be curious. What would it be like to rest in spacious presence and be the channel through which the loving neutrality of God flows? Claiming all that freedom, that power, and that glory for myself, and giving it to all other beings. Because the day will come when you're looking into Yeshua's eyes, either physically or spiritually or on some plane, and all he will do is invite forth from you the blessings of God. Will you let them freely flow, or will you claim, no, I'm not worthy of that? Because whatever you claim will define the blessing that he can give you. Because as God, he will give you no more than you claim for yourself. Because you are God choosing for just a wee bit. So this loving neutrality that we're channeling is not seeking to change. It's not seeking to heal. It's not seeking to do anything save acknowledge and extend the loving neutrality of God. If another were to ask you, then you can extend that loving neutrality and join them in their requests. For example, Yeshua didn't go around like healing willy-nilly. He didn't go walking from Jericho like bam, 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 like a superhero. those who came to him and asked to be healed. He merely called forth from within them the full measure of God as them. And when two were joined in that truth, there was healing that happened. Not that he so much healed them, but he drew forth from within them their truth, which loving neutrality doesn't know sickness. Loving neutrality, gracious presence, doesn't know death. Can't. Channel of blessings or channels of limitation? What are we? And you know, the really cool thing about this is you can do it in the privacy of your own mind, your own heart, your own being. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need to get out on a street corner and go, I'm channeling the love of God, notice me. You can explore and practice this all by yourself in the safety of your own presence. Wouldn't it be cool to play with great curiosity and wonder and see what you could discover? Because haven't we all been waiting for the love of God to like finally pick me, pick me, pick me? I'm here to tell you, pick yourself, pick yourself, pick yourself. Why not? If you don't like it, you can go back and channel any frequency you want. You know, it was said in the Bible about the chosen that few are called. Of course, Yeshua has corrected that gross misinterpretation in all of his modern pathways. It says, no, 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 all are called, few choose to listen. Few choose to take up their function as channels for God's loving neutrality. Why not now? If we've realized the true nature of our beings on any level to be this presence, then I wonder what the function of that presence is. Yeshua tells us it's ceaseless extension, ceaselessly extending self, neutrality, love, potential into more and more and more. Wow. And Cindy and I were sitting here before tonight. We didn't have a frigging clue what was going to come. Cindy was almost in tears because we had no idea what was coming. I'm glad we didn't. Oh. So let's see, we got a question. Deborah says, this sounds like a joyride. Someone else, thank you for the all-inclusive extension and blessing. Yeah, it's really easy that way, isn't it? I mean, why make it complicated and try and remember names? Just get them all. Patty says, when someone questions me, it's hard to explain when they want me to respond from the cerebral reasoning and I'm in neutrality. Yeah, that can be kind of tough. Because, of course, all those who are channeling the world consciousness expect you to channel it too. And if you don't, oh my God, they'll be certain they're wrong. And they won't want to accept that they're wrong, so they'll project their discomfort back on you and blame you for why they're feeling uncomfortable. But all that's what's going on within them. You're just being the presence of loving neutrality. Now, loving neutrality isn't passivity. Yeshua demonstrated loving neutrality can move with great power, and it's still a neutral event. Loving neutrality is not the absence of all potentials, it's the inclusion of all potentials in perfect innocence. So this isn't about becoming a doormat. All the while you smile and go, I'm extending the loving neutrality of God. Well, you know, if you're in front of a car wreck and you're loving neutrality, I bet that loving neutrality is going to compel you to go help the ones in that accident. But you'll be moved from a place of great power, not moved from a place of fear. There's a very, very big difference. So these are some of the things we begin to discover when we allow ourselves to play as a channel for loving neutrality. Yeshua points to this, you know, what would you have me say? What would you have me do? That gnosis will move out of presence and move you in ways that are always for the highest good, but we'll never be able to predict them. This is devastating to the ego, which says, oh, loving neutrality will mean I walk around peaceful all the time and no one ever confronts me. Yeah, that's crap, isn't it, Patty? Yeah. But it's the loving neutrality of being the action of God embodied. The action of creation moving in embrace of itself. And that may come in all manner. I mean, Yeshua's life was a beautiful demonstration of everything from turning over the money changer tables to healing the dead. Because loving neutrality doesn't have a strategy of how to show up to be safe. Because remember, this is presence moving. It's already safe. That was Yeshua's grandest demonstration, that even if the body were to suffer the worst of the worst, I am the power and the glory. I'll just make a new body. How can we ever come to know that for ourselves if we don't take up our rightful place as channels of that loving neutrality? Because within that loving neutrality is all wisdom, all power, all creativity, all compassion, all is in there. All in absolute innocence. All fear is in loving neutrality. All potentials are there. Cool. What do you have, Cindy?
Another question.
Oh, another question. Lisa, if you remember, repeat what you said Yeshua will ask you when he looks in your eyes. Well, let me find Lisa. Where's Lisa? Wave, Lisa. There she is. So
Hi.
I don't know exactly what words he will ask you, but the essence of it will be, will you bless me with the love of God that you are? He will invite you to be God, giving all of itself to him as God would naturally do. That makes sense?
Yes.
And if you're convinced it's not in you, or you're certain you're not worthy of it, or you're thinking you got to bow to him because he's not an equal, you may miss the greatest opportunity that he can give any soul. So the greatest blessing he offers is the freedom for us to be what we were created to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he invites us to extend that. That is really friggin' cool, isn't it?
Yes, it's very cool.
So he doesn't come to fix us or change us, but gives us an opportunity to realize who and what we truly are.
Mm-hmm.
His equal in all ways. That's very sexy.
It is very sexy.
So we get to practice. We can do that with every being that you see, since you're in New York, on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it with the checkout lady right across at that great grocery store across the street from you.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it with the screaming lady on your side of town. You can do it with those workmen up on your roof that really freak you out and piss you off. Or you can channel something else. So did that answer your question, my friend?
It did, very much so. Thank
All right.
you.
We love and celebrate you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Love you both. Thank you.
So remember, we're gifting everyone else what we choose for ourselves. Would you give yourself self-judgment? Thank you. You've wrapped it up and put it in a letter and said, I love you, and sent it to every being in creation. So no need to feel guilty about that or beat yourself up, because that's just like doubling down and now going to the supersized FedEx box. You can squeeze more in there. Just choose again. No big deal. No big deal. And play with this. Learn that you can channel any frequency you want. Just sit in presence, and I welcome the loving vibration of a pencil, and feel the flow. I welcome the loving vibration of water, whatever, and just feel each one. And learn that they're all neutral, they're all unique, and they're all included in the all-encompassing loving neutrality of God. How can you ever discover that you can be a channel of all things unless you discover it and play with it? Why not? See how quickly you can change on a dime and go from a negative one to a positive one, from a judgment to neutrality. And realize that maybe it doesn't take a quart of ice cream or a bubble bath or some other strategy to change how you feel. You can just do it with the choice and the power that is in presence all the time. So Sarah has asked, so is it true then that we are a channel of love even when not consciously and actively choosing it? We're always that, whether aware of it or not. And if this is so, can we relax? So even when one is choosing and experiencing fear, abandonment, etc., we are still a channel for love itself in truth, as there is nothing but love. So then even Trump is a channel of love. Well, let me get Sarah up here. Wave, Sarah, wave, Sarah. Find you. Okay, there she is. That is a fabulous, brilliant question, my friend, and thank you for asking it. So if we perceive love as defined by nice things, positive things, helpful things, all the crazy ways we spiritualize love, then we won't notice that everyone is channeling love. But if we go back to Mother Mary's channeling, when she invited us to love our creations, which is to free. So to your point, and I'm asking you this question, I want you to feel the answer for yourself. Is it true that all beings, under all circumstances and all situations, are channeling the freedom of God in whatever way they're choosing?
Yes.
So, my friend, can you relax?
Yeah.
So can we recognize that Trump and everyone else is using the power, all power over heaven and earth, to channel whatever of infinite possibilities is most important to them in that moment?
Yeah.
But we get the opportunity to join them in that frequency or vibration, or we can try and counter them with what we think is more loving by correcting or, whatever, or we can simply rest in the flow of loving neutrality, which is the presence and freedom of God already flowing to that being, giving them the freedom to channel whatever they would choose. No need to change them, no need to correct them. I might even venture you, at least within the sovereignty and privacy of your own being, to celebrate that they're free. It might not be a frequency you would choose to channel, but they're sure free to do it. And the fact that they're doing it is the proof that they're free to do it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So we're all channels of freedom.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it from all kinds of crazy things of what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong, what's spiritual and what's not. But all we've ever been, all we can ever be, is channels for freedom.
Yeah.
And no matter what we've channeled in the past, we're free to choose anew in every moment.
Yeah.
But the neutrality is what makes it simple. We don't have to counter what's out there. We don't even have to counter what's within. You get to a point where you don't even, that inner correction stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you channel loving neutrality to yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So thank you for recognizing the simple truth that is already true. And you knew it as soon as you typed the question, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I started typing the question like right at the beginning of the session. And I thought, that's a silly question, but then it just kept, press the button.
It was a good one for all of us. So thank you for asking.
Thank you for answering.
Well, all I did was channel what you already knew you had access to channel.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. We love and celebrate you, my friend.
Thank you.
Glory to your beautiful family.
Oh, thank you. It's mutual. It's mutual. I think my daughter wanted to join for a bit because she woke up and came down for a while.
Sure, all that loving neutrality. You're like, whoa, I want a piece of that action.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, I want to emphasize this isn't about becoming plain Jane like a bump on a log and mistaking that as neutrality. It's channeling neutrality as it expresses through you. in what's perfect for its expression through you. It's a whole new way of being. Rather than operating from strategy, from body, mind, rights, wrong, good, bad, as given by the world, we start to surrender to a wisdom greater than my little self and allow it to start moving us. But we'll never learn how to do that if we're constantly seeking it, which is a great way to make sure you're not a channel. Okay, anyone else tonight? Anybody else got a question before we wrap up? Okay. Well, then let's just go back to where we began, resting in that infinite field of communion and communication that we call spacious presence, that Christ mind, that mind of God, the quantum field, whatever you want to call it. And simply bless yourself with the love of God, the loving neutrality. Love and free yourself in this moment.
Thank you, 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 thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Pouring down, your love is pouring down. Your love is pouring down. Your love is pouring down. Thank you, 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 thank you. Your love is thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you, raining down. Thank you. Your love is thank you, raining down. Thank you. Oh, your love is your love is pouring down. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your love is thank Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank God Almighty that we are free to choose who we are and what we choose to give to all others. It has always been so, is now, and will ever be. And Cindy and I choose to give you all that God is through us. Play well, friends. We'll see you Saturday, maybe, or next week. Who knows? Let me unmute everybody so we can hear them. Bye, everybody.
Everybody.
Love you.
Thank you.
Post on the Facebook page your week of walking around as the channel of blessing. See what happens. Bye, friends.
I know it's gonna happen. I've done it on a smaller scale, but